as interesting story as CC, you said that. But nonetheless, I've always been in the business from almost my age when I remember. I did basically started a polythene plant while I was still doing my engineering in India. And of course, after my marriage to Olga, I moved to Canada and finished my master's. And we both, again, we were both working full-time, but we still had some investments in daycare. And we had an import company, so where we spent some of our evenings and nights basically working at those businesses as well. And eventually I moved to US, and with one of my great friend, Manish's dad, Manish is sitting here, we purchased a bunch of subways here in Dallas after my, or I should say as soon as I got my green card in the US, so I could legally do the business here. So we purchased business at that time, a bunch of subways in 2000 here in Dallas, and from there on we grew with each other. And then expanded subways from East Texas to all the way to Benbrook on the west side. And then we, as you grow, you learn, think about diversification. As your kids start in your business, you see, hey, where can I expand and give them the opportunities? So carrying on that flame further, Manish joined us with holding with the Smash Burger torch, and become my daughter started with Massage and Vac Center, and we have Wingstop and some of the other diversifications. So not as interesting, but that's how we have always been in the business. And in the meantime, of course, my background is mechanical engineering, but at the same time, that really, really helps in your analytical skills wherever you are. Corporate life, I work with the government and private sector both, and each of those experiences are, which you always carry forward with you, what you learn over here. I'll look for that.
So yeah, my story's, I'm a lot younger than these guys, so it's not as lengthy. Myself and my partner started here on this very campus, University of Texas, Dallas. Any UTD alums here? Anybody?
Yeah.
A couple people. Well, thank you to the school for having us here. We started, my original business, we started in the pool hall business. I took some student loan money and started a pool hall with a bunch of my partners that are, some of them are sitting over there, probably going to make fun of me. Eventually that led to, we became a franchisee of Genghis Grill after we sold the pool hall and game when we get into that. And we were one of the original franchisees of Genghis Grill, and Genghis Grill had 3 restaurants. In 2003, we ended up buying a corporate store out. In 2004, we ended up buying another franchisee out and bought the whole company out. In late 2004, we took over with 6 restaurants, 3 of which we owned, and then 3 franchise units. And then since then, as Raj mentioned, we're going to hit 100 units by the end of this year, actually, in a couple months. Along the way, we've became a franchisee of KFC, Taco Bell with partners and investors. And we also own and operate the Baker Brothers American Deli brand. And we have a small concept called Pepper Smash Cocktail Kitchen in Shops at Legacy, which is a craft cocktail bar. So once again, a lot of hard work, not as expensive as these guys. And we look up to guys like this that kind of set the way. Jasper, Texas in the 70s wasn't a good place to be for CC. And for him to get through that is the reason why guys like us can operate today. So look forward to sharing our story with you guys.
I have a very small story to tell. Masala Walk started here in Dallas, right next to the UTD campus. We opened our first location in 2003. And since then, we've been putting as a franchisor, as starting the business from scratch. My background was in IT prior to restaurant. I have never done a restaurant background. I started an IT consulting company in it for about 3 years, sold it, and not sure, didn't want to get back into IT. Right after that, I took some time off and break, and I wanted to pursue my passion. I always loved to cook. I always loved to eat, you could tell. And I love to experiment with food, and I said, before I try to do something, I would like to pursue my passion. And that's where Masala Walk was born. And my partner had some restaurant background, and that really helped. So then started Masala Walk here in Dallas, and growing since then. We are up to 9 units. With a lot more contracts in place. We would like to develop franchise stores as well as company-owned stores, kind of a mix. We are in Dallas, Austin, Houston, and San Antonio now, and we are also in Virginia. Several contracts pending in different markets. Hope to grow more and catch up to my panelists here. Thank you.
As Raj mentioned, I worked for restaurant companies for 15 years before I became an attorney. I started out with TCBY Yogurt, which gave me a great entree into the franchise world, because if you're familiar with that, and that's back in the 80s now, it was going, and then it went off the cliff. So unfortunately, I got to see firsthand at a relatively young age the impact that franchisors' bad decisions can have on franchisees, and in some cases, having extremely bad results. I also got to see part of the great system and how that can also benefit franchisees, because TCBY at the time did have great systems. I left TCBY and went to KFC. I was at KFC for 7 years. I had the great fortune of actually working in a corporate restaurant. I was talking to one of the people in the audience about the benefit of having a real experience that you can help clients with. Because if a client calls me and says, franchisor is making me do this, this, and this, and it's a restaurant concept, I can physically still go back to the night when I'm running the drive-through and know exactly what's going on and the impact that franchisor's decision is having on a franchisee. So I worked with KFC for 7 years. I had the good fortune of traveling the whole western half of the U.S. for 2 of those years as part of my territory, which gave me a great opportunity to meet many, many franchisees, to hear their story, to hear again how they talked about what was happening in their local markets and the impact the franchisors' programs were having on them. I left KFC, went to work for Burger King, and CC and I found out that we just barely crossed paths. I went to Oklahoma with Burger King Corporation a year after he sold out, I think, that part of his business out of the system. So same thing there. Big box, established franchisors, you get a great foundation of process, experience, history, and then I've been able to transfer that into my legal career. Went to law school, had the good fortune of meeting Cheryl. I think Cheryl saw and recognized something that I didn't know at the time, was that real world experience coupled with then the legal learning and then legal experience would be something that clients would really value, and as it's turned out, they have, I think, right, Al?
We're getting sued left and right. She's out.
Really to be able to translate that real world, again, how things impact franchisees, mostly you folks in the audience is what you would be, versus the impact and or the decisions that the franchisor makes. Our firm does represent both, and we do feel like that's a strength, because we do, again, because we see both sides of the argument. We help develop strategies and information and processes on both sides of the table. We really feel like that's beneficial to the clients, because we can always talk both sides and help come to some resolution in case an issue does arise. So